Frank Smith, the Lightweight Boxing Show. Frank, how's it been celebrating your birthday about 1 million times?
Oh, 3 weeks of surprise parties. I've had enough. It's been lovely. My missus has done a great job, so I appreciate that. But back to work now.
We're here in Sheffield, back to work in the Steel City. Is this a must-win for Dalton Smith with his world title ambitions?
Yeah, look, 100%. Dalton. I think Dalton's a great talent, and we've seen what he can do, and we've seen what he's delivered in his recent fights, and huge opportunity for him. He's wanted to headline in Sheffield for a long time. He's pushed us on it, and now he's here. He's going to have over 4,000 people in there on Saturday night, and he's got to go in there and put in a big performance to get a big win.
Samuel Mason, the opponent, he's not had a fight in 3 years, or he's had 4 rounds in 3 years. How did that matchup come about?
Look, obviously, the key for us was getting Dalton the British title shot. It was originally supposed to be Akeem Ennis-Brown. He pulled out of the fight, I think, through injury. Then you had the likes of, we were looking at Casey Benjamin as well. But, Sam O'Mason was a fight that the British Boxing Board approved. I think he's experienced, an experienced fighter, and he's going to give Dalton a challenge. But Dalton's going to go out there in big performance on Saturday.
Dalton's backed by Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah.
Just in a football sense, is this Samuel Mason's cup final? Is he the big underdog going in the cup final?
Yeah, look, it's his huge opportunity to go in there and take away all that work that Dalton's done, and all that promotion Dalton's had behind him. He could take all those fans on, in not one night of work, but that one night. So this is his opportunity. And but look, I think Dalton's a hugely talented fighter and got a huge career ahead of him. And this is just the start. We've seen some great performances, and I think you're going to see another one on Saturday because he understands he needs to go in there and show the best of him.
What threat could Samuel Mason pose to derail him? What's his strengths? I
think, look, the key is for Samuel Mason is the experience. He's got a much more experienced professional fighter than Dalton Smith. But Dalton, look, as I say, Dalton's a talented fighter. He's shown what he can do, as he stepped up, and this is another step up for him. So look, it's all to play for Samuel Mason. But I think you're going to see a great performance from Dalton on Saturday.
Dalton wants to fight at Hillsborough. He says that the wheels are in motion with the football club to do that. How far away could that be in terms of a promotion side of it with a world title fight or a big European title fight or something along those lines?
Yeah, look, Dalton's got a lot of support. As I said, nearly over 4,000 people coming on Saturday for this show. And, if we can deliver Dalton a world title shot, Hillsborough's a natural location for it. He's been pushing us for a long time. We've been in talks with the football club, and they're very interested in doing something. So it's got to be the right fight as well. But if he can go in there and deliver a big performance, there's going to just keep building that fan base.
Just want to move to a bit later on in this month. We've got the AJ card coming up. How important and how big of an impact has Robert Garcia been in this camp for AJ coming off that loss?
Yeah, look, 100%. Robert Garcia is an amazing trainer. He's trained multiple world champions, and I think he's going to add a lot to that camp. You got Angels in there as well, who's been with Anthony for a long time. I think they're very confident. The key is AJ's been focused on what he can improve and how he can get the win all the way back since the end of September, since that loss against Usyk. This isn't just a 2-3 month training camp. This has been on his mind for a long time, and Robert's been a part of that for a long time as well. So, I believe he goes in there and does a job on him, and the team have added. There's a lot of confidence in there, and he's had a great camp so far.
What happens to AJ if he gets beaten, he gets beat badly? What could happen next? How does he come back from that?
I think Anthony goes in there and does a job on Alexander Usyk this time around. But win, lose or draw in boxing, there's a lot of pressure on every fighter. Got to win. Understandably, everyone wants to win. But I think we have to look as well at maybe more the UFC mindset of it, making the biggest and best fights, and people show up for it. Anthony Joshua will always be a commercially bigger name than any other, I think, except for people coming through over 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Right now, he's the biggest name. Win, lose or draw, he'll continue to be the biggest name. And in fights, whether it was, if he was to lose and then went on to fight Deontay Wilder, that's a massive fight. It doesn't matter that he's lost. People will still tune in. But there's still the intrigue there. He is commercially, in his own right, a big name, and he's built that for himself. So the focus is go in there, get the win. But regardless, he's still the biggest star. Hence why we've heavily back behind him. We believe in Anthony Joshua. and as did DAZN as well with their new long-term deal with him.
Is there a deal in place with Usyk if he, again, win, lose or draw? Because I believe this is the last fight with Matchroom.
Yeah, and look, this is his last fight. Obviously, we've had a good relationship with Alexander and Alex and Aegis as well, and all the team. So, it'd be good to continue to work with him. But let's see. Big focus though. AJ, go in there, do the job on August 20.
Just looking through the undercard on that fight, shaping up nicely. You've got Money Kicks on there, YouTuber. Just explain how that's come about.
Yeah, look, he's a huge star in the region, Money Kicks, and he's been taking his boxing seriously as well. So he's got something like 1.2 and 1.3 million followers, but he's heavily invested in boxing. He loves the sport and he's making a big push. So I think we're going to see an interesting fight there. I haven't watched too much. I've watched like a few clips of his last fight, but I'm looking forward to seeing him in the ring. And that was a big move because of the sort of local area. As I say, he's a big star in the Middle East.
We've got Ben Whittaker potentially on the undercard. Can you just tell me how, with Eddie saying that Sky have no sort of say on who's in that card, no, he's a 258 fighter, how that's come about and if he's going to be on the card?
Yeah, look, it's not a Sky-led decision. It's ultimately 258 management, who manage Anthony Joshua and Anthony Joshua's management company, had a slot on the card with Sully Sissoko was supposed to be on the card. Sully's unfortunately pulled off, so they got a slot on the card, I think that's going to be used for Ben Whittaker. I've been speaking daily with Freddie Cunningham on it. We work very closely together. We'll see how it goes. Sorry, had a great performance in his debut the other day. So let's see how things play out, but that's definitely a possibility.
How was the relationship with Sky, especially the announcement that it's that they're taking the broadcast?
Look, ultimately we had a long relationship with Sky for many, many years, and we still have a relationship with Sky across a number of different sports. Darts being the key focus of that. We still still talk to them. We don't talk to them every day. Look, it's not like it's like anything. We're ultimately in rival businesses in boxing now, so we're not talking every day, hey, how are you? But we get on well with the team, always have done. It's not like there's business on one side and we still have those relationships there. So no changes on that front. Our focus though ultimately is DAZN and making a huge success of DAZN and the DAZN boxing platform.
Do you feel that like the sort of bit of needle that comes across from the likes of Adam Smith is needed to keep the whole sort of soap opera alive in a sense?
It's all fun and games. Ultimately, we don't need... Competition's always good, but we're our own biggest critic. I don't need to see what someone else is doing in order to work harder and do a better job. I want ours to be tenfold better than anyone else. I don't even compare us to anyone else because that's just the way our mindset is. But competition's always good and, it's always fun and games. There's so much talk around, you said this, he said this person said this. I think it's a bit of a waste of energy, ultimately. You focus on what you're doing. If you do a good job, you'll do all right. I'll focus on what I'm doing, and if we do a good job, we'll do all right. So that for me should be the mindset. But boxing is a sport where everyone talks. Everyone likes to talk about each other. That we're happy with what we're doing. Continue to be happy with what we're doing, and we'll be around for a long time. We have been for a long time. We'll continue to. We're undoubtedly the biggest boxing promoters in the world, and we'll continue to be so.
Just on the sort of Sky area, Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr. Chris Eubank typically fights on Sky. There's talk of him coming over to DAZN to fight Conor Benn. Is that a rumour? Is it happening, or where are we at with that?
Look, it's a fight we'd love to make. There's a lot of opportunities out there for Conor Benn currently. Chris Eubank's a fighter, exclusively promoted by Wasserman Boxing. And Wasserman make the decisions for Chris Eubank Jr. He's not a boxer fighter. He's, as I say, promoted by Wasserman Boxing. So that's a big fight that we're focusing on to try and get over the line, as well as a number of other fights for Conor Benn. But let's see how things play out. Everyone's been talking about it a long time. I prefer just to do a bit of work in the background and try and get it over the line.
Just with Chris Eubank on the topic, Chris Eubank said to Jake Paul that he would fight him after Hasim Rahman deal fell through and this, that and the other. What do you think of this whole Jake Paul boxing circus?
I think Jake Paul's good for boxing. Ultimately, it brings more eyeballs to the sport. Does he do some things where you think you're mad? Yes. Like saying I'm going to beat Canelo. it's just not going to happen. Maybe anyway. You might look back on this 5 years from now and say it's never going to happen, and it happens in 5 years. But is Jake Paul going to beat Canelo? No. Here's the truth. But you have to admire what he's built and how he's got to that point. And he's a specialist at that, isn't he? That's what they do. That's their job, is to talk things up. So he definitely has a place in the sport, and whether you like it or not, ultimately.
Do you think that you'll ever promote a fight with Jake Paul again, especially with the YouTuber on the AJ card?
I'd quite like to make Jake Paul against Eddie Hearn, personally.
Who'd win?
I think Jake Paul would do him in.
By knockout?
Big knockout. That's after Eddie knocks out Leonard Ellaby, though. This is all part of my master plan for 5 years from now.
Forget the professional boxing. We're going full time.
Yeah, we're just going to have a bit. I'm getting out of it. We're going to do Eddie against Leonard Ellaby, and then we're going to do Eddie against Jake Paul. Who do you think would win, Eddie or Jake Paul?
Eddie's got the height advantage. Jake Paul's probably got the.
I just think he'd come out and just smash him to pieces. I've been in the ring with Eddie, obviously, and had a great performance. So,
Would you beat Jake Paul?
No. I'd like to think, if I gave it a proper go, I'd last a round. So, if I had an 8-week camp.
Longer than Ben Askren, I think that was.
Yeah. Although he does look like, maybe he just knocked me cold out. Some people have got it, some people haven't. I don't think I've got it, to be honest.
KSI's fighting on DAZN pay-per-view.
Yeah.
What involvement have Matchroom had in that, if any? Or how good is it for you guys? Because it's boxing. It's boxing ultimately. Yeah,
look, I think there's two different routes, isn't there? You got the KSI route, who's fighting Alex Wasabi, who's another influencer, YouTuber. And what Jake's doing is more actual. He was supposed to fight Tommy Fury, obviously didn't happen, Hassan Rahman, but he's got a bit more focus, I think, on boxing as a sport and fighting boxers. I think there's a place for what KSI is doing. We can't question it. We did the second fight between KSI and Logan Paul. But right now, our focus is on professional boxing. Can't say that in 5 years, again, that doesn't change. But our focus is on what we know and what we're good at right now. But I think all these things it's good for the sport. You don't have to watch KSI against Alex Wasabi. But there is a huge market of people out there that will. A huge market. And that can only be good, whether we keep 1%, 2%, 10%, 100%, whatever it is. If it keeps an audience involved in boxing and keeps them around it, that's good, no?
Yeah, a lot of people saying that if they buy the pay-per-view for KSI, do they get a DAZN subscription for the following month? So then they would only pay $9.99 for Canelo Triple G, is that right?
Yeah, that's traditionally how the system works. Trying to think what date the KSI fight is.
27th of August, and then
so traditionally you buy the pay-per-view and the subscription, so then you'd only pay the subscription once.
Yeah. So what have you guys got coming up in the sort of back end of this year then to coincide with your pay-per-view events? Yeah,
look, working on a huge schedule. We've got some great world title fights. The likes of Leigh Wood coming back. You've got Josh Warrington's going to come back from his injury, defend his world title as well. You've got Joe Cordina doing the same. You've got Katie Taylor as well as that. You've got Buatsi possibly against Dimitri Bivol. That's a fight we're looking at currently. Callum Smith off the back of his fight against Boulder Leak, probably look to fight towards the end of the year. So there's a big schedule of boxing we're working on. We've been working in the background and in the US as well. Lots of fights we're trying to make in the US as well currently. So hopefully we can come out with a strong schedule very soon for the September to December period.